This will only take a minute.
Are you sure he's gone?
He never pushes back.
Keep it running. She used the key.
People like him always make this difficult. Oh, I didn't realize anyone was home.
You opened the door.
Emergency access.
Inside my house? Maybe we should step back?
No, he refused inspection.
Put the key down.
This is a covenant-controlled residence.
This is private property. Your uniform doesn't change rules.
She really used a key.
Vivian, stop talking. Keep the camera steady. Say that again?
Your father has made this difficult.
No, the part before that. We have enough.
You recorded me?
Inside my house. This is bad.
I heard this neighborhood has standards.
So does my door.
People like you twist procedure.
Careful. Caleb, hold.
Did she just say that?
We should leave. Yes, you should.
I heard it before. Go back inside. No, I'm recording.
We need counsel. You needed permission.
This is harassment.
You crossed the threshold.
And we let her.
Keep the camera rolling.
Turn that off.
No. Don't say anything else.
It's already live.
You planned this. You brought the key.
Folder open.
The third time, the HOA president opened Marcus Reed's front door without permission. She expected another quiet warning, another tired black father in work boots, another empty house she could shame into obedience. Instead, his son stood in the hallway in full marine dress blues, one hand resting on a folder no one had bothered to read. Why had she kept entering a veteran family's home? Why did the neighbors stay silent when they heard the lock turn? And why did Marcus smile only after she said, "People like you don't belong here"? What happened next changed every rule in Cedar Hollow, and it began with one quiet command: keep the camera rolling. The lock gave a second, softer click at 8:12 p.m., as if the house itself had swallowed it. Caleb Reed did not move. He stood between the front hall and the living room, dress blues catching the lamplight, white gloves folded under one arm. Behind him, Marcus kept one hand on the table where Denise's photograph sat beside a glass bowl of keys. The air smelled of lemon soap, wet wool, and rain. Vivian Blake stepped inside with a clipboard against her chest. Then she saw the uniform. "Oh," she said, "I didn't realize anyone was home." Caleb's eyes dropped to her hand. A brass key still hung between her fingers. "You opened it." Vivian gave a light laugh. "Emergency access, association policy." Marcus turned his wrist, enough to show the phone lying face up on the table. Its screen glowed red. The laugh stopped. From the porch, Martin Cole shifted. "Vivian, maybe we should step back." "No," she said, then softened her voice toward the camera. "Mr. Reed has refused reasonable inspections." Caleb took one step forward. The floorboards answered with a low creak. "This is a private residence. It is a covenant-controlled residence." Marcus finally spoke. "Not the same thing." Across the street, Ellen Price watched through a slit in her curtains. Tara Nguyen stood on the sidewalk with a grocery bag in one hand, eggs dampening in the mist. Both women had heard that key for weeks. Vivian looked Caleb up and down. "Your son's costume does not change the rules." Caleb's jaw tightened once. Marcus placed 2 fingers on the table. "Hold." "This is a uniform, ma'am," Caleb said. "Put the key down." Martin's clipboard scraped against his coat. "Let's not escalate." "Then stop entering my father's home." Vivian glanced past him. The folded blanket, the framed photograph, the yellow geranium Marcus had brought inside against the cold. Her eyes paused on the tiny black camera beside the hall lamp. "You recorded me without consent?" Marcus looked at the key. "Inside my house." The thermostat clicked. Water fell from Vivian's umbrella onto the tile and spread into a dark star. "This neighborhood has standards," she said, her voice losing its shine. "People like you turn procedure into accusation." On the porch, Tara's mouth opened. Ellen's curtain moved. Martin studied the welcome mat. Caleb lifted a plain folder from the table. The label was written in Marcus's careful block letters. "Reed Home. Access Incidents." "Say that again," Caleb said. Vivian raised her chin. I said your father has made this difficult. No, the part before that. Marcus's hand came down gently on his son's sleeve. We have enough. Only then did Vivian notice the second camera above the stairwell, its red dot steady as a pulse. Martin whispered, Vivian. Outside, a car rolled past and kept going. Marcus picked up the glass bowl and removed his own house key from the ring. The metal trembled once before he stilled it. You will leave now. Vivian stared at him, then at Caleb, then at the phone. For the first time since she had become president of Cedar Hollow Estates, she backed through a doorway without telling anyone what to do. Marcus closed the door. The lock clicked again, clean and final. This time, Caleb flinched. 3 weeks earlier, at 6:45 a.m., Marcus Reed stood barefoot on the porch with Denise's old watering can, tipping a silver stream over the yellow geraniums she had planted before she died. The October air had a damp bite. Leaves scraped along Cedar Hollow Lane. Across the street, Ellen Price's curtains pinched together. Morning, Mr. Reed. Tara Nguyen called. Marcus lifted 2 fingers. Morning, Miss Nguyen. You're up early. Flowers don't wait on me. Her smile faded at the envelope under his porch mat. Another notice? Marcus looked down. No mail carrier left letters there. I'll read it after coffee. Inside, the kitchen smelled of coffee and lemon oil. Denise's photograph stood on the table, her garden hat tilted, her hand caught mid-wave. Marcus set the envelope beside it unopened. At 9:10, a clipboard tapped the frosted glass. He waited. The tap came again. Vivian Blake stood outside in a cream coat too bright for the gray morning. Her hair was pinned smooth, her smile already finished. Mr. Reed, routine exterior observation. Marcus glanced at the clipboard. From inside my porch? This is association oversight. My porch isn't association property. The exterior presentation affects everyone. Her eyes slipped past his shoulder to the photograph and keys. Your railing repair remains unapproved. I submitted the form. You submitted a note. It was the form. Martin Cole waited beside a sedan. Vivian lifted the envelope. You've also received a warning about seasonal plantings. The yellow flowers are outside the approved autumn palette. Water dripped from the gutter. They were my wife's. I'm sure they have personal value. Her voice lowered. But personal value doesn't supersede standards. Marcus reached for the envelope. Vivian kept hold of it 1 second too long. You'd avoid misunderstandings if you attended meetings with a more cooperative attitude. I attend. You sit in the back. That's where the chairs are. Martin looked up. Vivian's cheeks colored, but her smile stayed. Have a good day, Mr. Reed. Marcus closed the door after her heels clicked down the walkway. The lock slid into place with its usual sound, but this morning it seemed too thin. He opened the envelope. The paper accused him of neglectful exterior maintenance, non-conforming displays, and failure to demonstrate cooperation. At the bottom, in blue ink, someone had added, "We all have to prove we belong here." Marcus folded the notice and placed it beneath Denise's photograph. At noon, he carried a wrench outside to finish the porch rail. The wood felt cold through his gloves. A pickup slowed, then moved on. Old paint dust whitened his sleeves. His phone rang. Caleb's name filled the screen. Hey, Dad. You good? Marcus looked at the geraniums. I'm good. You always say that. Because you always ask. Any trouble with the board? Just flowers. Flowers? Your mother would be proud. Apparently, they're dangerous. The pause lasted long enough for the wind chime to ring twice. Dad, I'm handling it. He ended the call gently, before his son could hear the car door closing outside, or Vivian Blake's voice on the sidewalk saying, "He still hasn't removed them." At 7 p.m. Thursday, Marcus pressed the crease flat on his brown folder before entering the Cedar Hollow clubhouse. The room smelled of burnt coffee and toner. Fluorescent lights buzzed over metal chairs. Vivian Blake stood behind the podium, tapping a pen against the minutes. "Mr. Reed," Martin Cole said, "Vivian added you under compliance review." Marcus took the last chair. The folder rested on his knees. Inside were the deed, porch approval, rail photos, and Denise's garden variants. Tara Nguyen sat beside him. "You don't have to sit back here. I can hear from here." Vivian called the meeting to order. Cedar Hollow keeps its character because we protect standards. A paper cup crumpled near the coffee urn. After mailboxes, she lifted a blue notice. Next, the Reed property. "Multiple violations remain unresolved," Vivian said. "Unapproved repair activity, non-conforming plantings, and difficult communication." Marcus stood. "I have the approvals here." Vivian did not reach for them. "You may speak after the board summary." "You named my property." "And I am summarizing." Martin cleared his throat. "Resident response follows the finding." "There hasn't been a finding." A man whispered, "Here we go." Vivian smiled. "Some homeowners misunderstand how this neighborhood maintains value." The folder stayed closed when Marcus sat. Tara's fingers tightened around her cup until the rim bent. "May I respond now?" Marcus asked. Briefly. He opened the folder halfway. "The repair was approved September 29th. The flowers were covered by my wife's 2020 variants. You emailed an attachment we could not verify. It was a PDF. From a personal account. My account." Marcus held out one page. "Here is the printed copy." No one came to take it. Ellen Price searched for a lid. 3 lids rattled, then fell still. Vivian read from her minutes. "For the record, Mr. Reed has declined constructive dialogue." "I'm standing here." Constructive dialogue requires tone. Marcus closed the folder. The cardboard edge made one clap. Tara turned. "What tone did he use?" Vivian blinked. "Excuse me?" "He answered you. Quietly." Several faces lifted. "Ms. Nguyen, this board cannot operate if every resident interrupts." "You interrupted him first." "Tara," Martin said. "Let's stay orderly." Marcus looked at Tara once. She sat back, cup crushed in her hand. Vivian wrote, "Matter remains open pending inspection." "What inspection?" Marcus asked. "A review of interior adjacent conditions." "My interior is not on your agenda." "The porch and entryway are connected." Marcus stood. His chair legs scraped the tile. "Do not enter my house." A breath moved through the room and vanished. Vivian set down her pen. "No one said that." Marcus slipped the approval back into the folder. His thumb brushed Denise's variance letter, soft from years in a drawer. "I'll put that in writing." "Please do," Vivian said. "Written records help everyone." When the meeting ended, neighbors gathered coats without meeting his eyes. Ellen dropped a lid and left it under a chair. Tara waited by the door. "Mr. Reed, I'm sorry." Marcus tucked the folder under his arm. "You didn't open the door." "No," she said, watching Vivian stack her papers, "but I heard it closing." At 3:38 p.m., Marcus came home from the Veterans Clinic with rain in his jacket and the paper smell of waiting rooms on his hands. The house was too quiet. He stood inside the door, keys hanging from one finger. Refrigerator hum. Gutter drip. The hall clock ticking 4 minutes slow, as Denise had teased it. Then he saw the photograph. Her frame on the living room table faced the sofa instead of the door. Marcus crossed the carpet and turned it back. A pale smear marked the dust beneath it. "Not today," he whispered. Near the entry rug, the fibers were crushed sideways. On the light carpet, one muddy shoe print sat beside the table leg, narrow at the heel, with a chipped crescent in the tread. His phone rang. Caleb. Marcus let it ring twice. "Hey, son. You sound far away. I'm in the living room. That's not what I meant." Marcus stared at the print while a wet leaf slapped the window. "Clinic ran late." "How'd the meeting go?" "People talked." "That bad?" A hallway drawer sat open half an inch. Inside, envelopes had been shifted. Denise's key lay on top instead of under the stamps. "Dad, what was that?" "Drawer stuck." "Was somebody in the house?" Marcus shut it with 2 fingers. "No one's here now." That is not an answer. Outside, a cream-colored car rolled past, then turned toward the clubhouse. "I found a mark on the carpet," Marcus said. "What kind?" "A shoe print." The line went still. "Inside?" "By the table." "Call it in." "No." "Why?" "They'll ask how they got in, whether I misplaced something, and why I waited." "Then don't wait." "I'm not." At 4:12, Marcus carried Denise's frame to the kitchen and placed it beside the sink. Lemon soap stung his nose. He took his old notebook from under the placemats. October 10th, returned 3:38 p.m. Photograph moved. Hall drawer opened. Shoe print by living room table. His handwriting stayed even until the last word. A knock came at the back door. Tara Nguyen stood under the awning. Damp hair stuck to her cheek. Blue scrubs dark at the cuffs. "I'm sorry to bother you." "You all right?" "I was going to ask you that. I saw Ms. Blake's car here around noon." "Here?" "At the curb. Martin was with her." The kitchen light flickered once. "Did they come in?" Tara asked. Marcus stepped aside enough for her to see Denise's photograph on the counter. Her mouth closed. "Oh. Did you see the door open?" "No, I was leaving for work. Ellen might have. Her blinds were open." "You should report it," she said. "I'm making a record." "That isn't the same." "No," Marcus said, "but it lasts longer than outrage." Tara looked at the wet porch boards. "At the meeting, when you said not to enter your house, you already knew." "I had a feeling." After she left, Marcus photographed the shoe print from 3 angles. The flash made the mud shine black. At 6:03, Caleb called again. "I booked leave," he said before hello. Marcus closed his eyes. "Cancel it." "No. You have duties." "So do I." The hallway clock ticked 4 minutes behind the world. Marcus looked at the muddy crescent on the carpet, then at Denise's frame, waiting in the kitchen like someone removed from her own room. "Bring your dress blues," he said. Caleb did not ask why. At 7:18 that evening, Tara Nguyen crossed the street with a foil-covered bowl and stopped beneath Ellen Price's porch light. The bulb buzzed. Damp leaves stuck to steps. Ellen opened the door only as far as the chain allowed. "I brought soup," Tara said, "and I wanted to ask what you heard." Ellen's fingers tightened around the chain. "A key turning. Not a knock. A key." "Today?" "A little after noon. I thought maybe his son came home. Then I saw Mrs. Blake with Mr. Cole." "Did you tell him?" Ellen looked at the bowl. "I closed my curtains." Chicken broth steamed between them. Inside, the refrigerator motor kicked on in Marcus's kitchen. 3 HOA notices were pinned under a lighthouse magnet beside Caleb's crayon drawing. A square house, a mother in a yellow hat, and a tall figure labeled Dad. Marcus read the newest paper. Landscape conformity. Improper patriotic display. Unpermitted repair. The phone rang. Mr. Reed, Martin Cole said, I'm calling to resolve this informally. Send me the current rules. They're on the resident portal. The portal shows last spring's version. The board is preparing clarifications. Then send the rules you're enforcing. A paper shifted near Martin's receiver. Cooperation would go a long way. That isn't a rule. No, but it matters. So does my door. Vivian says your statements created tension. Vivian entered my house. That is not established. My carpet says otherwise. Let's avoid making this adversarial. Marcus turned the coffee cup until its handle faced the wall. You called me. At 8:04, an envelope slid through the mail slot and struck the floor. Marcus waited. The hallway smelled of damp wool and mud drying in the rug. He lifted the envelope with 2 fingers and opened it under the lamp. Final notice. Fines would begin Monday. The garden must be corrected. The flag removed pending display approval. Refusal of inspection could be referred to council. No signature. Only the blue HOA stamp. His phone buzzed. Tara, Ellen heard the key today. She is scared. Marcus typed, "Thank you," erased it, then wrote, "Don't push her." Across the street, Tara watched Marcus place the new notice under the lighthouse magnet, not over Caleb's drawing. Beside it, careful as a bandage. "Why doesn't he yell?" Ellen whispered. "Maybe because everyone is waiting for him to." At 8:31, Marcus stepped outside with a flashlight and measured the flag bracket by the porch post. The metal was cold through his glove. Rainwater clicked from the gutter into Denise's flower bed. Vivian Blake appeared at the end of the walk, cream coat buttoned tight, no umbrella. "You received the notice." Marcus switched off the flashlight. "Rules first. The rule is in the covenant. Send it. You don't dictate board procedure. You don't dictate the inside of my house." Her smile hardened. "You are making this harder than it needs to be." "No." Martin's sedan idled at the curb, exhaust drifting over the street. Vivian glanced at the yellow flowers, then the flag. "Monday will be expensive." Marcus folded the measuring tape and went inside. When the door closed, the lighthouse magnet slid down the refrigerator and tapped Caleb's drawing once before stopping. At 10:22 Saturday morning, Caleb Reed's duffel hit the foyer tile with a soft thud, tired from a drive through the night. Marcus opened the door wider. "You should have called from Raleigh." "I did. You didn't answer." "I was outside." "Fixing something?" Marcus looked at the porch rail, where screws caught the pale sun. "Keepin' busy." Caleb stepped in, eyes moving before his hands did. Door frame, lock plate, hall table, living room carpet. He saw the faint brown crescent Marcus had not scrubbed away. "Dad, it's lighter now." "That's your defense?" Marcus reached for the duffel. Caleb kept it. "I'm not 12. "No, you're worse. You're hungry." For a second, Caleb almost smiled. The kitchen smelled of toast and polish. 3 notices sat on the refrigerator, pinned beside the old drawing of a square house, a mother in a yellow hat, and "Dad" written too large. Caleb read without touching them. "Improper patriotic display. They wrote that about your flag?" "Pending approval." "Mom bought that flag." "I know." Marcus rinsed a clean mug. Water hissed against ceramic. "Show me everything," Caleb said. They moved room by room. Caleb crouched near the lock and aimed his phone light at the plate. Metal dust glittered in the scratches. "This isn't normal wear." "No." "In the drawer." Marcus opened it. Envelopes, stamps, Denise's spare reading glasses, the brass key for the side door. Caleb lifted the glasses. These were in her sewing basket. They were. Who touched them? The hall clock ticked 4 minutes behind the world. Marcus closed the drawer with his hip. I don't know. You do. You just don't want to say it. At 2:15, Caleb found the letter in the blue recipe tin. Denise's handwriting slanted across cream paper. For Caleb, when he thinks his father is too quiet. She wrote too many letters, Marcus said. No such thing. Outside, a leaf blower rose and fell. Caleb unfolded the page. Son, your father believes restraint is a kind of shelter. Sometimes people mistake it for an unlocked door. If that day ever comes, protect the house without hardening your heart. Caleb's thumb stopped on the last line. Marcus wiped the counter with a folded cloth. You knew this would hurt him, Caleb said softly. Marcus kept wiping the same clean circle. Dad. It was her garden first. Caleb folded the letter along its old creases. His fingers did not line up right. I'm staying until this ends. No? Yes. You have orders. I have leave. You have a life. Caleb looked toward the refrigerator, at the drawing under the notices. So do you. At 5:40, he carried his duffel upstairs. Halfway up, he stopped. From there, he could see the hall lamp, Denise's photograph, and the front door. Below, Marcus placed the letter back into the tin. He missed the slot twice before it slid in. Caleb came down with a black case. What is that? Marcus asked. Camera. We don't need anger. We need proof. Marcus looked to the porch, where the geraniums shook in the wind. Then he nodded once. Caleb set the camera beside the hall lamp, its dark lens pointed at the door. When the red light blinked on, Marcus turned Denise's photograph a little so it would not be the first thing a stranger saw. By 6:05 p.m., Caleb stood on a chair beneath the hallway lamp, tightening a tiny camera mount with a screwdriver from Marcus's kitchen drawer. Rain tapped the porch roof. The house smelled of coffee and old paper. Marcus watched the red light blink, vanish, blink again. Too visible? Caleb asked. Visible enough for honest people. That's not who we're planning for. Marcus took a brass key from the glass bowl and laid it on the table. The sound was small, almost polite. Which door? Back. Who had copies? Me, your mother, you. Caleb held it by the edge. This isn't funny. No. At 6:42, Tara knocked at the back door. Ellen Price stood behind her on the wet walkway, both hands around her purse strap. I'm not coming in, Ellen said. I remembered something. Cold air rolled over the tile. Ellen stared at the mat. 2 months ago, I saw Ray Dobbs at your side gate, the contractor. He had a little gray key machine in his truck. He does mailbox locks and pool gates, Tara said. Small jobs for the association. Marcus set the brass key in the center of the table. Under the lamp, it looked too small for the damage around it. Did Vivian ask him? Caleb said. I heard her say emergency access, Ellen whispered. I didn't know it meant your house. Marcus reached for a notepad. Thank you, Mrs. Price. That's all? It's enough. She looked at Denise's photograph, then left before the rain excused her. At 7:16, Caleb drove Marcus to Ray Dobbs's garage near Cedar Hollow. The place smelled of motor oil and wet cardboard. Ray, broad-shouldered with a gray beard, wiped his hands on a rag. I don't want trouble, Ray said. Then don't hide in it, Caleb answered. Ray looked at Marcus. Mrs. Blake said the board needed emergency duplicates for homes under inspection. Did you read the rule? Marcus asked. No, sir. Did you enter my house? No, I cut what she gave me. Marcus placed the key on the counter. Is this your blank? A clock clicked above paint cans. Looks like one, Ray said. Write that down. That I made it? And who requested it? Date, if you remember. Caleb slid a pen across. Ray stared at it, then took it. At 8:03, Marcus drafted the letter by hand first. Caleb typed beside him. To the Cedar Hollow Estates Association, no board member, employee, contractor, or agent has permission to enter my residence without lawful authority or my written consent. Add the key, Caleb said, and the witness. And the cameras. No. Why? Let them choose who they are when they think no one is watching. Marcus signed 3 copies. One went into an envelope, one into the folder, one under Denise's photograph. At 9:11, the email went to Martin Cole, Vivian Blake, and the association office. 13 minutes later, Martin replied, "Due to its accusatory and aggressive tone, the board will review your conduct at the next available session." Caleb read it twice. Aggressive? Marcus folded Ray's statement and placed it beside the key. The little piece of metal lay between them, no bigger than a child's thumb. Marcus covered it with his palm. "Now we know what they're afraid of," he said, and the camera in the hallway blinked once into the dark. Monday came in cold at 8:30 a.m., with a white notice taped to Marcus's gate and rain trembling on the yellow geraniums. Caleb read it first. Final inspection. Today. Marcus took the paper. The tape pulled black paint from the metal. No written basis. They're coming anyway. Across the street, Ellen's blinds parted. Tara stood at her mailbox, hand inside. At 9:06, Vivian Blake's sedan stopped at the curb. Martin Cole got out with a binder to his chest. Ray Dobbs followed in a wet work jacket. Vivian opened the gate without asking. Marcus stepped onto the path before she reached the porch. Caleb came behind him. "Good morning," Vivian said. "We're here for the final review." Marcus held up the notice. "This says inspection. It cites no authority. The covenant is authority. Section." Martin opened the binder, then closed it. "Refusal will be documented. Document the question too." Ray shifted his boots. Wet concrete squeaked. Vivian looked past Marcus. "You continue to create a hostile environment. My gate was closed. You involved your son in board business." Caleb's jaw worked once. "My father's door is not board business. Your uniform was a performance. I'm not in uniform." Vivian blinked. Tara's head lifted. Marcus turned slightly. "Caleb." His son stepped back. Vivian smiled. "This is the intimidation residence reported." "No resident reported that," Tara called. Martin said, "Ms. Nguyen, don't insert yourself." "She's on a public street," Marcus said. The wind pushed wet mulch between them. Vivian's gaze dropped to the geraniums. The flowers shook in drizzle, yellow faces bent low. "And this," she said, pointing, "must be removed by Friday." Marcus did not answer. "It has become a point of provocation." Caleb stepped forward. "Those were my mother's." Vivian's eyes flickered once. A front yard cannot become a memorial display because a resident dislikes rules. The street went thin and quiet. Marcus's fingers closed around the cold gate bar. The metal pressed into the old scar across his knuckle. For a moment, his thumb slipped, and Caleb saw the grip his father would have hidden indoors. "Say the rule," Marcus said. Vivian exhaled. "You are not listening." "I heard you." "Then comply." "No." Martin's binder creaked. Ray wiped rain from his beard and looked at the flowers. Vivian stepped closer. "Cedar Hollow tolerated your resistance because people wanted to be kind. That patience ends today." Marcus's collar was dark with rain. He did not move. "Kindness doesn't use copied keys." Ray's head came up. Vivian turned. "We are leaving." "Without inspection?" Caleb asked. "For now," Martin said. Vivian faced the neighbors. Ellen had opened her door. Tara still held mail. "This matter will be escalated," Vivian announced. "The board cannot let one homeowner endanger harmony." Marcus looked at the tape scar on the gate, then at Denise's flowers. "Send it in writing." When the sedan pulled away, Caleb stayed beside his father until the taillights turned the corner. Marcus released the gate. His palm left a damp print on the black metal. Inside, the hallway camera blinked above the lamp, patient and red, while Caleb closed the door without locking it. At 5:27 p.m., Caleb taped the hallway camera until only the red dot showed. It glowed in the glass of Denise's photograph, small and steady. Marcus stood by the counter with his coat on. "This feels like bait. It's evidence. It feels like inviting disrespect. They already invited themselves." Rain brushed the windows. The house smelled of lemon soap, old coffee, and damp wool. Marcus took his keys from the bowl. "Lights on?" "Normal routine." "That is not normal. It is for people who think you're not home." At 6:02, they walked to the truck. Tara watched from her porch. Ellen's curtains moved 1 inch. "They're watching," Caleb said. "Let them." They parked behind the pool house. Gutters ticked. Caleb held his phone low between them. The feed showed the empty hall. Marcus rubbed Denise's keyring. "Your mother would say we should be inside eating soup." She'd also say, "Lock the door." At 7:11, motion flashed across the screen. A pale sleeve crossed the porch window. Someone tried the knob first. Then came the key. The door opened 3 inches. Marcus's breath stopped just enough for Caleb to hear the missing sound. Vivian Blake stepped inside with a phone light aimed at the floor. Martin's voice came from the porch. "Vivian, make it quick." "It will be quick if he has nothing to hide." Caleb reached for the handle. Marcus caught his wrist. "Not yet." Vivian moved past the mat. Her shoes left dark half-moons on the tile. She swept the light over the table and stair rail. "This entry condition is exactly what I meant," she said. "Defensive." "There's a picture and a bowl," Martin muttered. "It's a pattern." Ray Dobbs appeared behind them. "I don't like this." "You cut the key," Vivian snapped. Marcus kept his grip until the pull in Caleb's arm eased. On the screen, Vivian's light stopped on Denise's photograph. The red dot shimmered beside her smile. Vivian leaned closer. "Is that recording?" Caleb opened the truck door. "Now." They crossed the wet street fast, not running. Tara stepped off her porch with her phone out. Ellen opened her door and stayed behind the screen. Inside, Vivian turned as Marcus entered through the back. Caleb came through the front. For 1 second, no one spoke. Water dripped from Vivian's umbrella onto Marcus's tile. "You opened my door," Marcus said. Vivian straightened. "Emergency access." "There is no emergency." "Your refusal created one." Caleb closed the front door. "You were recorded from the moment you stepped in." Martin lowered his binder. "Vivian." "This is harassment," she said. "He staged this." Marcus pointed to the threshold. "You cross that." Vivian's eyes moved to Tara outside, then Ellen, then Ray with his cap in both hands. Her voice sharpened. "People like your father twist every courtesy into an accusation." Caleb lifted the phone. The red dot burned in the reflection beside Denise's face. "Say that again." Marcus placed 2 fingers on Caleb's sleeve, the quiet signal from church, airports, and every goodbye before deployment. Vivian swallowed. "Leave," Marcus said. She backed toward the porch, but Caleb had turned the phone toward the folder on the hall table, its first page marked, "Unauthorized Access Incidents." The first page in the folder made a dry sound when Caleb turned it under the hall lamp. Vivian stood at the threshold, rain freckling her cream coat. Martin held his binder to his chest. Ray kept both hands in his pockets. Tara's phone glowed from the walkway. "Mr. Reed," Martin said, "we should all take a breath." Marcus looked at water spreading from Vivian's shoes across his tile. "Outside. We can discuss this calmly. We are inside my house." Caleb laid the folder open. Deed. Denise's garden variants. Certified letter denying access. Each page had a date and stamp. Vivian pointed. "Anyone can assemble papers." "This one has your received stamp," Caleb said. Martin leaned closer. "And this?" "Ray's statement." Ray's face changed. "I only wrote what happened." Vivian spun toward him. "You were confused." "No, ma'am. I was scared." The word stayed longer than the rain smell. Tara stepped onto the porch. "I'm recording." "You have no right," Vivian said. "It's not your house either," Tara answered. Across the street, Ellen Price opened her door. "I heard the key," Ellen called. Caleb turned the phone toward Martin. The video showed Vivian opening the door, her voice clear over the hinge. "If he has nothing to hide." Martin swallowed. "Vivian, we need counsel." "We need control." Marcus lifted one page. "Read the line." Martin took it. "No officer, contractor, or agent may enter this residence without lawful authority or written consent," he read. "And your reply?" Caleb slid another page forward. "He called it aggressive." Vivian raised her chin. "Because the tone suggested hostility." Marcus held up the brass key. "This is hostility." Ray stepped back. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reed." Marcus nodded. Vivian tried to step past Caleb. "Those are private association materials." Caleb shifted only his shoulder. "Then keep them out of his house." Gutter water hit the downspout, steady as clock. Ellen reached the porch rail. "I heard it before. Twice. Maybe 3 times." Vivian's face flushed. "Mrs. Price, go home." "I did," Ellen said. "That was the problem?" Caleb placed the final page on top. It named Marcus as retired Marine Corps legal officer, veterans advocate, and Cedar Hollow property owner. "You never disclosed that," Vivian said. Marcus took the page back. "I was not required to earn privacy." "My father asked for procedure," Caleb said. "You answered with a key." Tara wiped rain from her phone screen. "I'm sending this to the county office." "Do not," Martin said. "Then tell me why." He had no answer. Vivian backed onto the porch boards. Her heel folded the welcome mat. Marcus closed the folder. The clap was quiet. "No one is shouting. No one is blocking you. You will leave. Then every board member receives the record." Martin nodded too quickly. "Tomorrow morning." "Tonight." Caleb picked up the key, emails, and flash drive. The red camera dot reflected in the black plastic. From the sidewalk, Ellen said, "I'll sign something." Tara answered, "So will I." Marcus opened the door wider. Rain came in cold against his hand. After they stepped off the porch, he locked the door, but left the folder open on the hall table to the page no one had read until it was too late. At 8:55 the next morning, the Cedar Hollow Community Center smelled of floor wax, wet coats, and coffee burned too long on the warmer. Marcus sat in the second row, the folder flat across his knees. Caleb stood behind him in a dark suit. Across the aisle, Vivian Blake wore her cream coat pressed dry, while Martin Cole kept turning one page in his binder. "Mr. Reed," Tara whispered, "County Council is here." Patricia Wells, 61, with red-framed glasses low on her nose, set a leather case on the front table. Councilman David Harlan adjusted the microphone until it squealed. Open session, Harlan said. A resident submitted evidence alleging unauthorized access by Cedar Hollow officers or agents. Vivian leaned toward Martin. Alleging. The microphone caught it. Patricia looked up. Ms. Blake, you'll have time. The folder corners pressed Marcus's palms. The cardboard had softened from rain and meetings. Mr. Reed, you may begin. Marcus stood. His chair legs scraped. For one breath, the black microphone waited, and the heater knocked inside the wall. My name is Marcus Reed. I own the house at 114 Sycamore Lane. People stopped moving cups. I asked for rules. I asked that no one enter my home without permission. I put it in writing. Vivian lifted a pen. You also created a hostile record. Patricia's glasses shifted toward her. You are not recognized. Marcus opened the folder. This is not about my temper, he said. If it were, we would be done already. He placed the copied key on the table. This is about whether a person can lock his door and trust it means something. Marked Exhibit 1, Patricia said. Vivian's smile returned. Emergency access provisions exist for a reason. Marcus nodded once. Then show the provision. Martin opened his binder. Pages whispered. He found a tab, lost it, found another. The association has authority to preserve property values, he said. That is not a door key, Patricia replied. Ellen Price sat near the aisle, a handkerchief balled in both hands. Harlan said, Ms. Blake, did you possess a key to Mr. Reed's residence? A contractor provided access material under board direction. Did you use it? For inspection-related purposes? Inside the residence? Her pen stopped. Entry areas are connected to exterior compliance. Patricia removed a flash drive. We also have video. The screen rolled down with a dry rattle. Marcus's hallway appeared. Lamp, photograph, bowl. Vivian's pale sleeve. The door opening. From the speakers came her voice. It will be quick if he has nothing to hide. No one moved. The video continued until Caleb said, You were recorded when you stepped in. Harlan took off his glasses. Martin's face had gone the color of paper. Vivian whispered, It was staged. Marcus looked at Denise's photograph, frozen on the screen, the red camera dot glowing beside her smile. No, he said. It was my home. Patricia turned to the room. We will hear witnesses after a recess. Mr. Reed, remain available. Caleb stepped close as Marcus gathered the folder. You did it. Marcus touched the worn corner. Not yet, he said, because Ellen Price was already standing, handkerchief in both hands, walking toward the microphone. Ellen Price reached the microphone at 10:17 a.m. with the handkerchief wrapped so tightly around her fingers that the lace edge had turned gray. Councilman Harlan lowered his voice. State your name. Ellen Price, 118 Sycamore Lane. A paper cup cracked near the back. Patricia Wells leaned forward. Mrs. Price, what did you observe? Ellen looked at Marcus, then down. I heard a key in his door. Vivian shifted. Many people have keys. Not at noon, Ellen said. Not when Mr. Reed's truck was gone. When was this? October 10th. Maybe before that. I told myself it was family. Then I saw Mrs. Blake's coat. Vivian stood. That is speculation. Harlan tapped the table. Sit down, Ms. Blake. Ellen's shoulders jerked, but she stayed. I closed my curtains. That's what I did. Marcus kept his eyes on the floor seam between his shoes. Tara Nguyen came next, still in blue scrubs, a pen clipped crookedly at her pocket. At the board meeting, Mr. Reed asked them not to enter his house. Mrs. Blake called it difficult communication. She said the porch and entryway were connected. Patricia marked a page. Did Mr. Reed raise his voice? No. Did he threaten anyone? No. Vivian laughed under her breath. Caleb turned his head, not enough to speak. Tara continued. He asked for the rule. No one gave him one. Martin's binder slid as his hand slipped. Patricia nodded to the door. Mr. Dobbs. Ray Dobbs walked in with damp spots darkening his jacket. He held his cap against his stomach. Name? Raymond Dobbs, contractor. You cut a duplicate key for 114 Sycamore Lane? Yes, ma'am. Who requested it? Ray swallowed. Mrs. Blake. Vivian rose halfway. Under emergency access protocol. Patricia lifted a printed message. Is this the text? Ray bent toward it. Yes. Patricia read one line. Need copy for Reed property. Board matter. Do not discuss with homeowner. The silence had weight. Ray twisted the cap. I should have asked. I didn't. Vivian's voice sharpened. You were paid to follow instructions. And he was paid to cut keys, Caleb said quietly. Not erase boundaries. Harlan looked at him. Caleb lowered his eyes. Apologies. Patricia replayed the hallway video. Vivian's recorded voice filled the room. It will be quick if he has nothing to hide. Ellen pressed the handkerchief to her mouth. Vivian stared at the screen as if the woman there had betrayed her by speaking clearly. Harlan asked, Ms. Blake, did you believe consent was optional? Vivian's lips parted. No answer came out. Martin whispered, We relied on past practice. Past practice by whom? Patricia asked. Martin looked at Vivian. Vivian looked at the exit. Marcus slid one document forward. 3 owners ask that their keys be returned or destroyed. A murmur spread across the chairs. One neighbor took a key ring from her purse and closed her fist. Harlan took the paper. This hearing will continue with a full audit of access materials. Before Ellen sat, she stopped at Marcus's row and placed the folded handkerchief on the empty chair. I'm sorry I waited, she said. Marcus touched the edge. You came today. At the front table, Patricia opened a new folder and wrote one word across the tab. Access. At 4:36 p.m., the community center lights turned the windows black, and the last coffee on the warmer smelled scorched. Caleb stood behind Marcus, hands folded. His collar had left a red line at his throat. On the screen, Patricia Wells had frozen the hallway video on Vivian Blake's hand around Marcus's door key. Councilman Harlan read from 3 pages. The review confirms unauthorized entry, improper retention of access materials, failure to produce written inspection authority, and misuse of association procedure. Vivian sat very still. That is an interpretation, she said. It is a finding, Patricia answered. Martin pushed his binder away. The office acted under board direction. Harlan turned a page. You documented Mr. Reed's boundary as aggressive conduct. Did you have a rule? Martin's mouth opened. No. The word landed harder than any speech. Every duplicate key would now be inventoried, returned, or destroyed under county supervision. My contract? Ray asked. Terminated, Harlan said, pending licensing review. Ray nodded once. Yes, sir. Vivian's chair scraped. You are letting one resident dismantle an association. Tara whispered. One door. Ellen Price did not whisper. One door was enough. Harlan removed his glasses. Ms. Blake, effective immediately, you are removed from the presidency pending a full board election and ethics review. No one cheered. Caleb reached to his throat and slowly loosened the top button of his shirt. The motion was small, but Marcus saw his son swallow like he had been holding his breath all day. Vivian saw it too. Her eyes flicked away. Patricia slid a page toward Marcus. Mr. Reed, you may submit requested remedies. Caleb leaned down. Dad, you can say it. Marcus touched the worn folder. Denise's variance letter was inside, softened at the folds. I don't want a speech, Marcus said. Harlan nodded. Then tell us what you want. Marcus stood and placed the brass key on the table, not thrown, not dropped. Set down. No resident key kept by the association, he said. Not for emergencies, not for convenience. Patricia wrote quickly. Written inspection notice with the exact rule cited. A complaint line outside the board. And any resident called difficult for asking a question gets that note removed. Vivian gave a dry laugh. You expect us to rewrite governance because you were offended? Marcus looked at her for the first time. No, because you were comfortable. The room went quiet in a different way. Harlan tapped the papers into a stack. Emergency policy revision within 30 days, interim oversight immediately, and training for board officers. Ellen raised a hand. Can residents attend? They should, Patricia said. Ray stood in the aisle. Mr. Reed, I cut the key. I can't undo that, but I'll sign whatever says I did. Marcus gave him one nod. Tell the truth when it costs you. Outside, the parking lot shone under amber lights. Vivian left through the side door with Martin 2 steps behind. Caleb carried the folder to the truck. You didn't ask for an apology. No, Marcus said. I asked for a lock that means locked. Behind them, Patricia pinned a notice to the community board. Emergency access audit starts tomorrow. The first new lock arrived in a brown cardboard box at 8:04 a.m., while the community center doors still smelled of fresh paint. Marcus stood beside Patricia Wells as a county locksmith laid 6 old duplicate keys on a blue cloth. Each one wore a paper tag. Pool room, maintenance shed, clubhouse office, unknown residence, Reed property. The last tag was written in Martin's narrow hand. Patricia looked at the table. Every key gets matched, logged, or destroyed. Martin Cole stood near the bulletin board, tie loose, face unshaven. He had not resigned yet, but his nameplate had been removed from the office door. I didn't know there were this many, he said. Marcus did not answer. Vivian Blake did not come. Her empty chair sat at the front, polished and useless. At 9:20, neighbors filed into the training room with coffee cups and folded notices. Tara sat near the front. Ellen chose the second row, then stood and moved 1 chair closer. The projector hummed, throwing the new rule in black letters across the wall. Written basis required before inspection request. A younger board member raised his hand. What about emergencies? Patricia turned. Call emergency services. You are not one. Someone coughed. Someone else wrote it down. Marcus watched the words settle over the room. The heater clicked on, and warm air smelled faintly of dust. During the break, Ellen walked to him with a yellow sticky note pressed flat between both hands. I wrote down what I should have said, she murmured. Marcus read it. I heard the key. I should have knocked. He handed it back carefully. Keep it. Why? So you won't need to write it again. By noon, Tara helped post a new complaint form beside the mail slots. It listed an independent county number, a no retaliation clause, and a plain sentence at the top. A question is not misconduct. Caleb read that line twice from the hallway. You put that in? He asked. Marcus slipped a screwdriver into his jacket pocket. Patricia did. With your words. They were available. Outside, the locksmith replaced Marcus's front lock. The old cylinder dropped into his palm, cold and scratched at the edge where someone had forced confidence into metal. The new one turned once, smooth and quiet. Caleb stood behind him. Try it again. Marcus did. The click sounded different. Across the street, Ellen opened her curtains all the way. Tara lifted her mug from her porch. 2 children on bikes slowed, then kept riding through the leaves. Marcus set the old cylinder in the evidence envelope Patricia had given him, not as a trophy, as a record. That evening, he placed the new HOA handbook under the lighthouse magnet on his refrigerator, beside Caleb's old drawing. For the first time in weeks, nothing covered the mother in the yellow hat. Caleb touched the paper. You really think they'll change? Marcus looked through the kitchen window at the clubhouse, where the new access notice glowed under a porch lamp. No, he said. I think rules make it harder not to. Then he picked up Denise's watering can from beside the sink, carried it to the porch, and set it next to the geraniums where everyone passing by could see it. 3 weeks after the hearing, Marcus heard the new lock click at 6:40 a.m. and did not check it twice. The sound was softer now. No scrape. No question in the metal. He stood on the porch in his work jacket, turning Denise's watering can over the yellow geraniums. Cedar Hollow Lane woke under a November sky. Ellen Price came over with a packet pinched between her fingers. I found these, she said. Marcus read the label. Yellow marigolds. They're not the same. No, Marcus said, but they'll know where to stand. She looked at the porch boards. I heard the key that first day and told myself it wasn't my business. Marcus set the watering can down. You made it your business when it mattered. I wish I'd done it sooner. So do I. The answer did not excuse her. Ellen nodded. At 9 o'clock, Caleb loaded his duffel into the truck. He wore service khakis, not dress blues. Tara waited near her mailbox with 2 travel mugs. For the road, she said. Caleb took one. Thank you for filming. I should have stepped forward before the camera did. You stepped forward. Marcus adjusted Caleb's collar, then brushed lint from his own jacket. Caleb smiled. That coat is basically your uniform. Needs medals? It already has them. Marcus looked down. Paint near the cuff. A thread Denise had sewn years ago. A tear from the porch rail repair. He could not answer. A county notice had been pinned to the clubhouse board. Emergency access keys prohibited. Written inspection basis required. Independent complaint review active. Board training mandatory before the next election. Martin Cole had resigned after the audit found 6 unauthorized keys in the office safe. Ray Dobbs lost his HOA contracts but signed a full statement. Vivian Blake's name came off the website before Thanksgiving. The ethics review barred her from board office for 5 years, and the county referred the access violations for civil penalties. No one cheered. The facts were enough. Before Caleb climbed into the truck, Patricia Wells arrived with a thin folder. Mr. Reed, the new complaint office received 12 calls in its first week. 12? Most from people who thought they were the only ones. She handed him the final report. Your recommendations are in the policy section. Caleb tapped the folder. He'll pretend he's not proud. I am proud, Marcus said. The simple sentence stopped them all. On the first page was a photograph of the old key sealed in an evidence bag, small as a child's thumb. Beside it, the caption read, Access without consent is not procedure. Caleb's truck door creaked open. Dad. I know. No, listen. Caleb stepped close. You protected the house without hardening your heart. Marcus looked at him then. Denise's line had come back in his son's voice, steadier than memory. When the truck pulled away, Ellen stayed beside the gate, and Tara lifted one hand. Marcus watched until Caleb turned the corner. Then he took the seed packet, knelt by the geraniums, and pressed 3 marigold seeds into the cold soil. The new lock waited behind him. Some curtains moved too quickly when he looked up. But at the clubhouse, neighbors lined up for the first training session, and nobody asked Marcus to prove why his door should remain closed. He stood, wiped soil from his fingers, and turned Denise's watering can toward the morning light. If this story stayed with you, like the video and share it with someone who believes a home should be protected by dignity, not controlled by fear. Comment below. Would you have spoken up when the key first turned, or would you have waited like the neighbors did? Subscribe for more emotional justice stories about quiet people, hidden strength, and the moment truth finally gets a voice. Every story reminds us that power without boundaries can hurt families, but courage does not always have to shout. Sometimes it looks like a father standing still, a son keeping the camera steady, and a locked door finally meaning what it should.